Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
And the crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dave Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap, hold, kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Only Football Tonight. We are going to be talking worst to first in divisions. Who's the best candidate to go worst in division to first in their division in 2026? We're going to be talking about the Brandon Aiyuk 49ers saga and the possibility of him going to the 49 or to the Washington Commanders. He was wearing some gear, some Commanders gear. We'll see if he follows in the footsteps of his former teammate Deebo Samuel. We're also going to be talking about Rashid Rice and another addition that the Kansas City Chiefs made. Additions, subtractions, all that good stuff. So let's do it. America is football.
America is America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass for the moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my god.
No.
You loved it.
30 to 27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Only Football. I'm Kyle and that's Rick.
I'm Rick, let's go.
And today we have a packed episode with all of the latest offseason not news.
Ooh, nudes. What? Hey, no, let's talk about
today.
nudes.
Not today. Unless is Brett Favre on the, are we? We're going to start with Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk. Okay. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Aiyuk.
Yep.
I feel like the 49ers are beginning to have some sort of like wide receiver trend with not wanting to pay and then like coming to an agreement on a 1-year deal. And then you're kind of just kicking the can down the road. And then that receiver being upset that they weren't invested in long term. And then opting for every surgery he could possibly do. Not giving it his all, not buying into the program, and then leaving. Now, Deebo Samuel's still with the Commanders, correct?
No, actually, he's a free agent right now.
Why has Deebo Samuel not been signed?
Great question.
I think there's like this part of an NFL career that just doesn't make sense where it's like Justin Simmons kind of was in the same boat where it's like you're still worth a ton of money, but you're worth too much money. And that's why we can't take you.
Yeah. And he had 5 touchdowns last year. Deebo Samuel, of course.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there was, I think the Cowboys game, he was like the best player in that game.
Yeah, real quick, you got somebody from the Bahamas tuning in, Liam.
Let's go.
What up, and Ginger,
What's up,
of course.
Liam?
Ginger,
what's up, Ginger McNinja? We got the Bahamas up in here, and I love it. My dad almost took a job actually that would have relocated him to the Bahamas, and my coworkers from the Bahamas.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so a lot of love for the Bahamas. My family's from Miami, so we can get over to the Bahamas in like 45 or a 2-hour boat ride. But anyway, welcome to the channel.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of going back to this whole thing with
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Aiyuk, I feel like he's got a lot of gas left in the tank. And honestly, I'm not sure the angle for the 49ers because we like what we see in Ricky Pearsall, but there has
Mm-hmm.
been injury concerns. I think Ricky Pearsall can be one of the best number 2 wide receivers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't see him as a Brandon Aiyuk,
No,
So
no.
I don't really think this is a good move for the Commanders. I'm thinking about their draft class. Nothing really stands out. The Cowboys potentially were trying to trade for Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys were one of those teams that is being tossed around. So the Commanders just kind of dealt with the 49ers last year. So there's some continuity business side with that. How do you see this whole thing playing out? Because I guess Brandon Aiyuk appears to be implying right now that the 49ers are scared to release him. And
Mm-hmm.
this is something that we see with teams where we don't like you enough to give you the deal, but we don't respect you enough to release you so you can get one. We still want to get
Yeah.
something for you
Mm-hmm.
because we see you as a trade asset,
Mm-hmm.
but
That's what it is. Yeah.
we don't see you as anything more than that at this particular moment.
Yeah, and Brandon Ayuk went on like an Instagram video or some sort of social media video talking about stop being female dogs. I'm like the kid who doesn't get picked in a basketball game or a football game, whatever. If you're scared, just say that. Obviously referring to the 49ers, right?
I
And
feel like
and
female dogs is more offensive than bitches.
yeah, honestly, yes, I could actually agree with that. So Brandon Ayuk may be creating his own making a mark in his own way by saying female dogs instead of bitches, because yeah, you're right. Desiree, what's up in the chat? Hello, thank you for joining us. But yeah, he's obviously referring to the 49ers. And look, they've been at odds since December of last year and really since July of last year. When you look at the whole situation, the 49ers voided out guaranteed money from Brandon Ayuk's contract. Why? Because he didn't do enough in terms of rehabbing his MCL, ACL, whatever it was that was injured. He didn't necessarily go that route in terms of rehab. So they're like, okay, if you're not going to do the work, to which what you were saying earlier, then we're going to void out this guaranteed money. And then Brandon Ayuk kind of obviously took offense to that. December just stopped showing up to the facility. They put him on the reserve / did not show up list or whatever it is. And basically the 49ers are like, we're not going to cut you. So you just have free reign over wherever you want to go because we have a lot of money invested in you. So we want to look for a trade partner. But at this point in time, it's just difficult for the 49ers to be able to trade a guy like Brandon Ayuk because of how this situation has kind of been going since last year. It's been almost a year since this has been going on, right? So they've got their kind of reasoning behind it. Brandon Ayuk's got his. At the end of the day, there's got to be a trade there. There's got to be a trade out there. So the 49ers aren't just like spending money or giving them guaranteed money by the season start, and Brandon Aiyuk isn't having to pay $50K a day for missing training camp when it starts in July or whatever, because that's what Brandon Ayuk's looking at. Obviously, there's a lot of time between these two parties to kind of come to an agreement. But the craziest part of all this is when Brandon Aiyuk was on that video, he had Commanders gear on. Him and Jane Daniels are close friends. Like there is an obvious wanting, at least from Aiyuk's side, to go to the Commanders because
this
the
stems
Commanders,
from last year, right?
Yeah, July. Yeah. All like almost a year we've been into this kind of saga between Aiyuk and 49ers front office management with Lynch and so on. And like you said at the very beginning, man, the 49ers have had a lot of trouble with wide receivers recently. Deebo Samuel, obviously Aiyuk, Jawan Jennings seems to have thrown some shade at the 49ers, whether it's the front office or whatever. It's kind of starting to remind me a little bit of like the Steelers, where they've had a lot of wide receiver issues, at least a lot of wide receivers that have kind of made a name for themselves in a Steeler uniform, where it's either coaching or it's the front office management, something. And it's like these two organizations seem to have a ton of issues keeping star wide receivers or just even like good wide receivers in their organization. And I don't know, maybe this is kind of why the 49ers had to draft Pearsall, why they kept DeMarcus Robinson or signed them or whatever, right? Like there's just a lot going on here that maybe it's probably a management issue with the front office, but they're just having the toughest time keeping wide receivers on their roster.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's got it worse, the Chiefs or the
the Chiefs too. You're right. Well, at least with the Chiefs, it's more on the player instead of like it seems to be an organization issue with the Niners.
And I was going to say the opposite. I was going to say, at least with the 49ers, they have talent, you know?
Oh, true. Yeah, yeah.
The Chiefs just kind of have a bunch of guys, and the one guy that they do have, who we'll talk about later, is just messing up. But Brandon Aiyuk also drove like 107 miles an hour past the facility and then posted it.
Yeah.
And now there's like a misdemeanor out for his arrest. And it just feels like I'm not going to put it past anybody to be that dumb because I've seen it. But it just feels like he's begging at this point to be released. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
And because the situation is so complex, we're actually bringing in our insider live on air. We got Bo.
Bo, that's true. Bo is the insider.
What do we make of this whole situation?
Yeah. No. Yep. Yeah. No. I couldn't agree more, Bo. Honestly, could not agree more.
It's shocking. It really is. It's
if you guys are on the stream right now, what Bo just said is absolutely shocking. It is absolutely like true. So thank you, Bo.
Thank you. All right. Well, do you have anything? Okay, let me just ask you this to finish. Where do you see Brandon Aiyuk finishing his well, I would assume he's got maybe 2 or 3 more teams left, but where do you see him playing in 2026?
Oh, God, I don't know. I really do think it's going to be the Commanders, although if I was the 49ers, I would probably ship him to the AFC. And like anywhere to the AFC is probably a smarter move. And depending on the 49ers schedule, will they see him again if they play the Commanders? Definitely not sending him there. But if I'm the 49ers, I'm sending him to the AFC because you know what Aiyuk's capable of, but Aiyuk really wants to go to the Commanders. I don't know if I necessarily as the front office for the 49ers give him what he wants, because obviously you've been at odds for a while now. But I think it might be Commanders or an AFC team that is just desperate for a wide receiver.
I agree. I don't think you want to trade him to an NFC team and then you're in the playoffs and then that team scores with Brandon Aiyuk against you.
Exactly.
And Brandon Aiyuk scores a touchdown and just looks over at the Niners bench like,
and that dude, it's true. It just I did actually want to bring up this question by Ginger because I think it's a good one and it might be a good kind of segue into other topics. But Ginger's asking if Kyler Murray or JJ McCarthy, also known as 9, sucks this year on the Vikings, is Jefferson gonna ask for a trade because he could see it? I think this brings up an interesting question because there's been plenty of recent wide receivers who've asked for trades because the organization is either not doing anything to give them help at the quarterback position, or offensive coordinators kind of come and go. I mean, we just saw what happened with AJ Brown. But do you think Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, could ask for a trade if this season doesn't go well with Kyler or McCarthy?
I don't. I think Justin Jefferson has been, relatively quiet, and, with all of the stuff going on. I think he's even been used as an example of like
Yeah.
when AJ Brown was going through all this stuff, they were like, look at Justin Jefferson. Like, he's got no quarterback. But, so Justin Jefferson, we have to remember he got paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if there's one thing that will make you show up to work happy every day, it's the type of money that he got paid. I mean, look, Jamar Chase, I mean, how many times has he had to go without his Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
We don't really hear anything of it because he got paid. CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott has not been, I mean, last year, I'm pretty sure he was healthy all year, but the year before that, I don't know. Something is jogging my memory. Didn't he have like a really bad injury?
Not that I can remember. I don't think Justin Jefferson's been injured.
No. Dak Prescott.
Oh, Dak Prescott. Yeah, at one point I think he had a bit of a injury bug hit him.
Let me just say it this way. I think if you're a wide receiver and you have an issue at quarterback and you've been paid, so assuming this is like, we're only talking about the top 5 receivers in the league, I think you have to add in the context of how is the organization, how are the locker rooms and the facilities and the family, like how involved are they with your family, etc. How is the game plan? How is the offensive philosophy from the head coach and the offense coordinator? Because does Justin Jefferson, does he believe at the end of the day that there's anybody in the country that can get the most out of him? I'd like get more than Kevin O'Connell is getting out of him. And I just don't think he would say yes. And I think that's because, like, I think you and I could say yes, but I don't think he can. And I think, this is true when you're like working with somebody. I'm guilty of it. It's like if I'm working at a hotel, it's like, this is the best hotel in the world. And if I'm working at a restaurant, this is the best Italian food in the world. And I think when you are working closely with somebody who, now the other part of it is you have to be in the conversation, and Kevin O'Connell is definitely in the conversation of best offensive minds in the game. So if as long as you check that box and you're in the conversation, then I think Justin Jefferson probably is one of these players that believes like, yes, we do need a quarterback, but I believe that my head coach can get more out of me with a Teddy Bridgewater than a star quarterback could with a bad coach or a bad offensive coordinator. And I just think Justin Jefferson is kind of at that point in his career where he's like, he's a Viking, and it's not like a flash in a pan, but like a 10-year situation, like a Von Miller in Denver type deal.
Yeah. And I could kind of see both ways, but I would lean more towards Justin Jefferson at one point asking for a trade because 2 seasons ago, they were number 2 in the North, I should say, with a 14-3 record, whatever the case was. Sam Darnold was their quarterback, right? Because of JJ McCarthy injury. And they kind of brought him in as backup to that. And it seemed like it was going well with Darnold. And obviously the playoffs come around and everybody's like, oh, Darnold, fumbles it again. He becomes Darnold. He becomes Jets Darnold, seeing ghosts in the playoffs. And then he goes and wins the Super Bowl the next year. And you saw the type of slide that the Vikings took offensively, record-wise, being thought of as what kind of team he was, what kind of team they were last season. And Jefferson's probably like, okay, JJ McCarthy, maybe not an elite quarterback yet, but I'm willing to give it some time. And then they bring in Kyler Murray, and now it really is kind of up in the air. I'm thinking that Kyler's going to start, but if this, with Kyler or with 9, if it's similar to last season, I can absolutely lean towards Justin Jefferson being like, you know what? I do love the Vikings organization, and we've been to the playoffs a couple times already, once with Cousins and once with Darnold. And I love Kevin O'Connell, but I want to win a Super Bowl because, I mean, really at the end of the day, I think every player in the NFL wants to win a Super Bowl more so than being in the Hall of Fame at their position. And that's just me on the outside, obviously looking in. I think I would rather reach the absolute pinnacle of a football player's career and winning a Super Bowl, maybe even a Super Bowl MVP, right? Or at least a chance to do that, than to be in the Hall of Fame. And it's like, do the Vikings give me the best chance? The defense, don't get me wrong, really, really good. But the offense is where it's like, okay, obviously with JJ McCarthy didn't work. Who's going to win between Kyler and JJ McCarthy? We'll see. But if this doesn't go as well as I'm hoping with Kevin O'Connell, this may be one of those years where you see Justin Jefferson at the end of the season, or if it's not going well during the middle of the season, be like, what are we doing? What am I doing here? I want to go to a team that can do something.
I think though it all depends on how you see yourself, because we see time and time again receivers, Terrell Owens, Chad Johnson. We see receivers that are dominant for years and they don't even come close to a ring. Terrell Owens had a couple, he with the 49ers and then with the Eagles, and then but with the Cowboys, it was kind of like very similar to the situation Justin Jefferson was in with Kirk Cousins. And we have to remember, like, the Vikings have let go not just Kirk Cousins, but Sam Darnold. Yeah. And it's like, what are they doing over there? Because, like,
great question.
Like, you look at like how I always say, never try to out happy. If you're contending for a Super Bowl, your fans are happy and you're winning double-digit games, why are you getting rid of players? I mean, they won 14 games, I believe, with Sam Darnold, and they moved off of him for JJ McCarthy. What? Yeah. I mean, it didn't make sense to me then, and it doesn't make sense to me now, because Sam Darnold was a number 2 or number 3 overall pick, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
So
definitely a first rounder.
It's like, I mean, the fact that he's even in your facility, and then how well he performed, why would you move off of that? And now people are saying, well, hindsight's 2020. Bullshit. It didn't make sense after the Vikings season he had. And this is like removing Seattle. It just didn't make sense, because you're like, well, maybe he got lucky. I got news for you. This level, NFL, there's no luck. Like, you can either make a throw or you can't. You can either beat the blitz or you can't. You can either read coverages or you can't. Like, there's no, like, you can have a lucky day, but you can't have a lucky season. And Sam Darnold put together a whole season. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, with Justin Jefferson, it's like, you have to ask yourself, if you think Justin Jefferson would want to leave the Vikings, then there's only one conclusion, is that he doesn't see himself as a Viking. Because if he does see himself as a Viking, then you understand. Cortland Sutton had 10 years with the Broncos not making the playoffs. The players on the team, they're like, I'm a Bronco and we're probably not a Super Bowl team this year, but it's like, you see yourself as part of the solution of getting back to competing for a Super Bowl if you see yourself as a part of the team. Just because you're not competing for a Super Bowl this year doesn't mean you want out. Now, if you're like later in your career and you're just doing 1 year, I totally get it. Like, you're just jumping on the team that you think has the best chance. But I think for a lot of players that see themselves as like, oh, I'm a fan favorite of this team, everyone wears my jersey, like, you're okay with accepting the reality that we're probably not going for the Super Bowl this year. But this year is more about figuring out what we have at quarterback, and that's okay. And I think a lot of fans might not realize that for some of these players that are mature and they've been in the league for a long time, they understand this and they're okay with it. They can never vocalize it because it sounds like, it sounds terrible if they ever did. Like, I know we're not really going to make the Super Bowl this year. Like, you can't say that.
Yeah.
But I think there are players that understand that we're not going to the Super Bowl this year, but it doesn't mean that they want out necessarily. I would just say that, because I know all around the league, I mean, Trevor Lawrence in the kind of the whole team that they've been putting together in Jacksonville, it's like, you see it as like a building block. You see yourself as part of the team that is like, you see yourself as part of the solution. You're not trying to bail out necessarily.
Yeah, and it's a respectable thing from some players, but I can still obviously see
and
like
if it was like 5 years of this shit, I think like we could have a serious conversation about it. But
yeah.
I think he's had too much success in Minnesota. He's broken world records. He's like on pace to. I mean, every Sunday it was like they're pulling up fastest receiver in NFL history to do this and to do that. I will say, as long as those graphics keep coming up, he's going to be all right. And I know players say like it's not about the personal accolades. Yeah, right. But when you go home at night and you're in bed and you lost and you had a losing season,
Yeah.
but that graphics there, it helps.
Yeah, 100%. And kind of staying on the topic of wide receivers, I don't know if this wide receiver is any sort of leverage here, but Rashee Rice, you had brought it up earlier before we start recording. Like, we got to talk about this because Rashee Rice, it seems for like the third or fourth season in a row, has fucked up during the offseason. And it's almost kind of like everyone's always waiting. It's like, what's Rashee Rice going to do during the offseason? And it always comes at like the times where it's like somewhat boring, kind of stale NFL offseason time. He violated his parole. I think he tested positive for marijuana, and that's part of his parole. He cannot smoke. And now
I wish I were high on pot news. I wish I was high on pot news.
Yep. That and Rashee Rice not only wished it, but he made it come true. So now he's taken into custody in Texas, 30 days positive for THC, ordered to serve 30 days that he had previously been ordered to serve at a later time starting today. He's going to miss OTAs and he's going to miss minicamp. Kyle, what the hell? And this is kind of the same thing we were talking about with like 49ers receivers. What the hell's going on in KC with Rashee Rice? He seems to be the only wide receiver with an issue. And he's yet like he's a wide receiver one in Kansas City because they got nobody else other than Xavier Worthy. And he always messes up year after year after year.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is not the behavior you will like to see from somebody that hit a wall at 120 miles an hour in a Lamborghini. Typically, like, these are the type of life events that really make you reevaluate your life. And I told this story, I believe once, but when I was like 14 years old, my best friend, his stepdad, was like a raging, he had an alcohol problem. And we used to like sneak his beers, and he drank Natural Light. And I say
Natty
used
Light?
to, yeah, with Natty Light. We did this one time where we took like 2 of the beers, and we went outside the neighborhood where, there's that stone that says like the name of the neighborhood. We were sitting like on the stone drinking a beer, and I see this car, and it's looking at me, and it's looking at my friend Colton, and it's not moving. So we get on our bikes, and we like are riding. We have a beer in our hand, and we're riding behind a Winn-Dixie. All of a sudden, a spotlight turns on, and the lights turn on, and it's a cop. I have this beer in my hand. My dumbass like tries to like put it in my pants, and then a cop like comes out and draws his weapon, thinking I'm like reaching for a gun. And
holy shit,
it's like, obviously the beers fall, and I'm like, no, it's just, just a gun, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sitting there, and the cop's like going to grab for his handcuffs, and he's treating us like adults. He's not treating us like kids. He's like, are you out of your fucking mind, blah, blah. And then he pulls out his handcuffs, and I remember looking at this church, and I'm like, God, if you get me out of this, I will serve you for, all eternity, and because my dad was like a no bullshit guy. This was like, Colton was going to be all right. I wasn't. I wasn't scared of going to jail. I would prefer it. And I was like, please take me to jail. Don't take me home. And so I'm freaking out, and I'm desperate. And as soon as the cop goes to put his handcuffs on me, the radio goes, oh, we got, blah, blah, blah. And the cop looks at me, and he goes, it's your lucky fucking night. And he undoes my handcuffs, and he gets in his car and fucking peels out. And I'm like, I'll never forget that. It's your lucky fucking night. And dips out. And I'm like, the car peels off and I'm just sitting there I could hear a pin drop. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like my life just went from over to like rebirth. And I see Colton and I'm like, dude, he reaches down on the ground and picks up the beer. And I remember that was the last day I ever hung out with Colton, because that was the moment I realized there's going to be people like me and there's going to be people like Colton. There's people that get scared straight and there's people that make the same mistake. And it was like, how did you not learn from that? How was that not an eye-opening event for you? And it's unfortunate that everybody can't have that type of a situation and not go and pick up the beer. At least not that moment. Like,
at least wait a couple minutes.
At least like or a day, like take the day off, like, it's not like we needed it. We're kids, so it was ridiculous, but I learned something about him and life. And, I hope I doubt he's doing great, but I hope he is, but I think with Rashee Rice, like that the Lamborghini hitting the wall at 120, and then like bailing and then getting arrested, and like that was his moment. And from what it seems like, it's unfortunate, but he picked up the beer and he didn't use that as an opportunity to be like, I'm in jail. I could have died in this accident. I'm an NFL football player. I have the greatest quarterback in the world as my quarterback. Every year I'm competing for a Super Bowl. I'm a multimillionaire. I have the world in the palm of my hand, and I could actually be talked about as one of the greatest wide receivers in the NFL if I really, gave this my all. And instead, he's smoking weed on probation. It's like, you just see the lack of focus and the lack of maturity. And I don't know if it's like emotionally he's just not developed in his mind to not come to these conclusions like that. I think most of us would or maybe it's something more than that. Maybe it's substance abuse problem. And that's a real thing that, people need to get help for, but they can't be told to do it. They have to want it. So like,
exactly.
I don't know what's going on with Rashee Rice, but I think at this point, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to come to the conclusion that like, we hope you get well, but we have to make business decisions and those aren't going to involve you. I haven't heard the Chiefs come out and even say anything. I'm sorry, but if this is the Broncos, like he should have been released already. Why is he still on the team? The Chiefs are repeating their same problem from last year, and everyone's acting like it's okay because they got Kenneth Walker. How the hell does Kenneth Walker fix the problem at receiver, or Travis Kelce being super old? I mean, I don't understand why the Chiefs feel like they're about to really compete for a Super Bowl. I got news for you guys. It's looking like another 9-win season. You think that Mahomes is going to come back from a serious injury like that with no receivers and it's going to be okay because they have Rashee Rice? Like, remember, on defense, they led the NFL in blitz percentage, but they were bottom 2 in the NFL at sacks. So they're not even successful at applying pressure, and that's why they drafted so many defensive players. But how is this going to help them at receiver? This is the worst news I feel like a Chiefs fan could have got, because last year you could at least chalk it up to we didn't have Rashee Rice, and when we got him back, the offense had a spark. True. Very true. Actually, Rashee Rice was like top 10 fantasy receiver from the moment he got back. And that's what makes this whole ordeal more frustrating, is the potential is absurd with this guy. And instead, it seems like we're just going to run it back. And for the Chiefs, I feel like the only reason they haven't released him is because they're desperate and it's so obvious. But if you're desperate as an organization, you're sending the wrong message to your players because they think they can get away with this shit and not get released.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Like Rashee Rice, when he's on the field, like he makes an impact, but he hasn't been on the field nearly enough in his 3-ish seasons as a Chief to really warrant this type of behavior and expect to continue to be on a team. Like what you said is correct. If I was the Chiefs, hey man, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks. You know, we appreciate what you did on the field when you were on the field, but we can't continue to go down this route of you fucking up almost every single season since you've been on this team. And as well as kind of what are you presenting to, I don't know, kids who watch the NFL, right? Like, what are you saying? And the NFL has had its issues with all sorts of player personalities, whether it's like domestic abuse, whether it's drugs, whether it's accidents, things like that, where you look at the NFL and you're like, you guys are not really taking much accountability here, and you guys are just letting these guys play. It just seems like there needs to be a really a tough stance, not only from the Chiefs, but I feel like the NFL, because it's a league that a lot of kids look up to, and parents now are kind of like afraid to even put their kids in tackle football because of recent things, right? But this is like a huge impact, not only on the Chiefs, but like on people who watch the game. So I agree. Like they need to take a very tough stance on Rashee Rice and be like, you are talented, but you are just messing up, and you just don't seem to understand that you are an NFL wide receiver. You are one of 1%, right? You are one of the 1% of the 1% of whatever. There's only been so many people in the world that can play in the NFL at the highest levels, and you have been gifted to be one of them. Do not take this gift for granted. Now, are they going to do this and release him? Probably not. It really does depend. Now, I am a person who does believe in second chances, or at least in like, hey, if you mess up, how do you pick yourself up and how do you get better from that situation? Prisoner reform. Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And if you mess up again, like Rashee Rice did, it's just like, I can't keep doing this. But if he goes into this season after all this and becomes a better ambassador for the game and a better ambassador for himself as well as the Chiefs, then maybe you can see that reform start to happen again. But honestly, if I were the Chiefs, I would have cut him loose as soon as this story hit. As soon as I knew he wasn't going to be at minicamp or OTAs, like it's just like these are obviously voluntary. I believe the OTAs were, or I can't remember, but either way, like it's like, dude, what are you doing here? What do you expect to get out of any of this, right? Like you're part of a team. You don't see Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce or Reed or Chris Jones going out and doing dumb shit like this. Like all that other stuff with Brittany Mahomes and with Taylor Swift, whatever. It's excusable. The media is the ones who are focusing in on that. This stuff. Yeah, this
real life.
Exactly. Compared to what Rashee Rice is doing, that's nothing. So yeah, I think the Chiefs need to take a hard stance here and do something about it. But who knows if they will? Who knows how long they're gonna kind of keep up with this?
Yeah, and honestly, if I were the Chiefs, I would have been like, do I have a team that I think can win a Super Bowl? Mm-hmm. And it's like we do, but we have this issue at receiver. Mm-hmm. It's like Mahomes is one of these quarterbacks where you bring in, this running back in Kenneth Walker, and you start to think, wait a minute, like maybe they have one of the best running back fields like in the country now, because they didn't just bring in Kenneth Walker, they brought in Amari DeMercado, I believe, too. And on top of that, I would have called Dallas and been like, I will give you Rashee Rice and a second round pick for George Pickens.
Yeah. You figure that Rashee Rice stuff out.
Yeah. And Dallas would, because they love to figure it out, right? They love players that have like a criminal history. I don't know why, but they're like, we'll do it. And a second round pick is a lot of value. So even if Rashee Rice doesn't work out, the second round pick for George Pickens probably would have gotten it done by itself. Yeah. I would start there. And then if Rashee Rice comes back, and then, good. You got Rashee Rice, George Pickens, and Xavier Worthy, and Kenneth Walker, and Mahomes, and Kelce. Like, that's a Super Bowl team. Yeah. But, like, this is what I don't understand. It's like, let's save the second round pick. Let's keep Rashee Rice. Why? Like, why? Why wouldn't you trade a second round pick for a Super Bowl? Exactly. Because I really think George Pickens on this team would have been like a piece that's like, okay, we're definitely like competing for a Super Bowl. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And they 100%. Hadn't agreed to, I still don't know what's going on with George Pickens, because for a while I heard, they're going to pay him and excuse me, congratulations to Dallas for finally getting ahead of this issue. Where they like have to wait to pay.
Yeah.
George Pickens has 108,000 reasons to make common sense move. I don't know, like, okay, we haven't discussed, but I expect he will be here. Schottenheimer said it's mandatory minicamp. So he's expected to show. George Pickens has no leverage, versus the Cowboys. The only thing that can help him is if another team is highly interested in him and makes it happen. I mean, I feel like with what we saw from George Pickens last year, he made a real case that George Pickens can be like one of the best receivers in the league, in my opinion. And that was with, Dak Prescott and a first-time head coach. Who knows what an Andy Reid and a Mahomes and a real running game could do for George Pickens. Because I mean,
it's an interesting one.
It's and I'm not saying this to say it's not happening. Like, this could still happen. This could definitely, because if you're the Chiefs, I mean, it's like the Rashee Rice thing. Like, did you not learn from last year, or are you just running it back expecting a different result?
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing though, we had to talk about it because the AFC West is going to be tough. I mean, the ESPN just released Mia Kusa, the what's her name? The woman that does like the quarterback rankings every year.
Mila. No, what's her name? I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
ESPN Mila Millen.
No.
No.
Seahawks fan.
I thought it was Mina
Kimes. Yeah.
Mina Kimes, yeah. So she just had her quarterback rankings, and I had to ask you about this because I'm like, okay, I don't understand the slander because I'm not expecting Bo Nix to even be in the top 10, but they had the quarterback from Indiana that hasn't taken a snap yet above Bo Nix.
That was wild.
Like, he's not even in the top 15. I mean, he's not better than half of the quarterbacks in the league right now.
That the Fernando Mendoza thing is wild. I think she put him below a few questionable.
She put him below Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what I think this is a lot of rage bait. I will say, like, I really do think a lot of what Mina Kimes did during this was a lot of rage bait because Bo Nix is better than Kyler Murray. Bo Nix is better than Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza should be last. Like, sorry, no, like nothing against Fernando Mendoza, but he's a Raider. Like, they have a history since they made the Super Bowl in the early 2000s to not really pan out. And that's, again, nothing on Fernando Mendoza. He has not thrown a pass in the NFL. He is barely starting OTAs, mini camps, rookie mini camps, whatever with the Raiders. That entire thing, I feel like, was just rage bait by Mina Kimes. And Mina Kimes, to me, is generally one of those NFL analysts who you can look at and be like, that's a good take. Yep, I agree. Maybe don't agree with that, but she's bringing it up with facts. This quarterback ranking was rough. It was rough. I would not put Fernando Mendoza over any starting quarterback from last year. I wouldn't. It's just
and it's not like it was Fernando Mendoza, then Bo Nix. Like, Fernando Mendoza was 5 spots ahead of Nix.
That's insane.
Nix was ranked so low that there was only 12 quarterbacks worse. And Tyler Shue was like the next one. Like,
yeah, that's wild to me. That
Bo Nix, Tyler Shue,
Shuck.
I mean, but with that, I'm going to give her a little grace here, and I'm going to say this. I don't think quarterback rankings have ever been this difficult. Remember when I said, like, I don't know, 4 years ago when we started this, or maybe 5 years ago now? Crazy. I said, this is going to get really interesting because my whole childhood, it was like Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Brett Favre / Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady. And then you're kind of like wrapping it up. That's like your That's your bundle of elite quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Try that today. Let me just say, like, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow,
Stafford,
Justin Herbert. I mean, look, Justin Herbert was ranked higher than Caleb Williams, and Justin Herbert was ranked higher than with Drake May was ranked higher than Drake May was at number 5.
Yeah. And that's why I don't know how she was basing these rankings.
Dak Prescott 7?
I don't know. That's why I really do think, because I actually, when I go back, I did listen to this part, and I think it was her and her co-host going back and forth and picking which quarter. I think they were going 1-1. So it's like starting at number 1 is this person, and then she would go to her assistant and is like, okay, at number 2, I think it's this guy. So I don't know if there was that episode that where those QB rankings stemmed from, or if this was a completely different thing that she did herself. What I will say is I just do not understand where these rankings were coming from. Drake May, after last season, runner up to the MVP, the highest completion percentage in the NFL, made it all the way to the Super Bowl. Okay, are you giving them top 5 because of that? Was he one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league? Stats wise, the completion percentage, sure, maybe, but like Matthew Stafford won the MVP.
Yeah, right? Why is he at 11?
I just don't get what she was basing this off of.
Like, you would rather have, I mean, you're saying right now you're taking Jaden Daniels over Stafford. I'm not for 1 year.
Not for this upcoming season.
Yeah. For this upcoming season.
I mean, the injury hurts.
Jaden Daniels with Stafford on the Rams, I think their Super Bowl odds get worse.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree. So I don't get it.
I forgot why I was even bringing this up.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was a reason.
Because yeah,
what were we talking
there's
about?
Probably a reason. I can't remember.
We were talking about George Pickens, right?
We were talking about George Pickens and Dak Prescott, and yeah, I don't know. There was a reason for sure.
Yeah.
But
anyway, it's good to know. So if
you
guys haven't seen these like rankings, go check them out, because
they're a little rough.
Here's the thing I will say though. Bo Nix at 20. Look, as a Broncos fan, I was thinking about this. Like, what's the alternative to this? We're not doing this, are we? Come on. Don't do this to me.
What happened?
Stupid camera.
Oh, gotcha.
1 second. I'll make it work. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yeah, what's the alternative? Like, Bo Nix is in the top 10. The Broncos are the Super Bowl favorite. Like, is that really where you want to play from? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, isn't it? How do you find motivation for a team that like won 14 games? Feels like the only reason they didn't go and win the Super Bowl was because of a freak injury on the last play of the game. Like, how do you light a fire under their ass? Because I was struggling as a fan to get going. Like, I can't imagine the players, because it kind of feels like, I don't know, like it's just not fair, like how it worked out. And I think this is the best case scenario, because it's like everybody thinks last year was a fluke. Everybody thinks that it's not repeatable. You have the 15th best odds to win the Super Bowl. Like, you're basically considered a mediocre team, and your win projection is under 10, which is something, you know, Sean hasn't even had with Bo Nix, less than 10. So I think like is like more, as much as it's like, oh, we're doing this again, like it's kind of like, well, what does have to happen? Like, how many years of dominance would it have to take for it to be like, all right, let's throw Nix in the top 10?
Oh, looks like Kyle got cut off there. Yeah, looks like Kyle got off. I think he may have closed the camera. Real quick, what I will say, you know, we were just talking about Stafford there in terms of quarterback rankings off of Mina Kimes' quarterback rankings. One of the things in LA that happened most recently is they traded for Myles Garrett. Now, Myles Garrett was going on record just this past week, I believe. It was, back on the 5th of June of this month. Myles Garrett once, during an interview, Garrett was asked how much longer he thought he would play and how many sacks he might end his career with. And he said, I don't know how much longer I want to play, but I know there's a big goal out there. That's 200. Meaning he wants 200 sacks at the end of his career. There's only been one person that has been able to get to 200 sacks, and that is Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith is the only guy to get to 200, and that is the number, is 200 sacks. Now, Myles Garrett probably has one of the best chances at doing that because he has 125 and a half sacks at the age 30, and he just turned 30. So he did this 125 and a half before turning 30. He needs 75 more sacks to beat the record by a half sack. Now, can it happen in LA? He definitely thinks so, because I think his average, let's see here. I'm looking, has averaged 13.9 sacks per year, meaning he's averaged just under 14 sacks per year. When one player is averaging double-digit sacks for you, like, of course he's going to get to 200 or the 125 and a half before the age 30. He has been so dominant in his time in the NFL that when he says, I'm looking at getting 200, which is the most that anybody's ever gotten with Bruce Smith, you kind of believe him. You know, even Bruce Smith, to catch Smith, Garrett will need to rack up at least 75 more sacks. Over the course of NFL history, there have only been 5 players ever who tallied at least 75 total sacks after turning 30. Of course, it's Bruce Smith, who had 108 after turning 30, Kevin Green at 97.5, Chris Stolman 93, Reggie White at 90, and Julius Peppers at 78.5. So to say, you know, because Julius Peppers is probably one of the more recent guys who's done it, as well as Bruce Smith and Reggie White. But Julius Pepper, but for Garrett to do that, I think is not that difficult to attain. And we got Kyle back. Kyle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got Kyle back. So I'm talking about Myles Garrett in an interview. He said that they asked him how long does he think he has left to play and if there's an amount of sacks that he wants to get. He said, I don't know how much longer I want to play, but I want to get to 200 sacks. There's only been one person that's ever been Bruce Smith to get to 200 sacks. So Myles Garrett currently has 125. Smith? Yeah, Bruce Smith. I think he was a Giant, if I'm not mistaken. But Garrett has 125 and a half total sacks before turning 30. He needs 75 to get past Bruce Smith for the all-time record. He has averaged just under 14 sacks per year since he's been in the league. And honestly, I'm one of those guys who thinks he can do it, especially in LA with that organization there.
Myles Garrett will go down as the greatest defensive football player of all time.
I like that.
I like that. We have to understand what we're really dealing with here. We don't even know how good Myles Garrett is. You, me, the whole world. We think we do. We don't. Let me put it this way. Myles Garrett had 22 sacks last year.
23.
23.
Yeah.
What if I told you that 20 of his 23 sacks last year came on a 3-man rush?
That's insane.
Yeah, because you're assuming like, oh, well, there's probably like, they're scheming a blitz. No. We're talking 95% for number 95 coming on a 3-man rush. Now, think about what he can do on a really good team.
Yeah.
We don't even know.
And that's one of the reasons that this article was saying on CBS was saying or NFL.com was saying the Rams are a good team where if they are playing with the lead in a majority of their games, which, going into this year with the way this squad is assembled for Sean McVay, you would assume that. That means that the opposition is going to be passing a lot later in games, which means Myles Garrett is going to have more than enough opportunities to literally, with a head full of steam, just run at the quarterback. Not even have to worry about coverage, not have to worry about just adding pressure or stopping the run. We're talking about an entire fourth quarter, most of the third quarter, that he just gets to go free. So yeah, like you said at the very top, he's going to go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, defensive player in the NFL of all time. But he's going to get a real good opportunity at cutting that deficit of the all-time 200 sack number down these next couple of years with the Rams.
Well, have you even seen anybody that looks like Myles Garrett ever?
No.
Like,
no, that dude is a monster.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, he's literally a once in a lifetime athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just excited to see him play in a playoff game. Like, we haven't even gotten playoff Myles Garrett. Like, I think maybe 1 year. I don't know.
Yeah, the Baker Mayfield year, I think, against the Steelers, but that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like a Steelers playoff game's already the most forgettable thing that could happen. So,
Facts.
Did you see L'Jarius Sneed re-signing with the Chiefs?
I did. Yeah. I was going to actually ask you about that too. You know, he signs a 1-year deal with the Chiefs, reuniting him with the Chiefs after they traded him to the Titans. The only thing that gets me about L'Jarius Sneed is in those 2 seasons with the Titans, he played 12 games out of a possible, 34 games. He played.
How much money
12?
Was he paid?
I think he signed a 4-year, $70 million deal, something like that. And
$76.4 million.
There you go.
55 million guaranteed. How many games did he play for 55 million?
12
games. Hey, that's not bad for a 4th-round pick out of Louisiana Tech.
Not bad. Yeah, but I'm sure the Titans were hoping for a lot more.
Yeah, unlike Denzel Washington, L'Jarius Sneed will not be how we remember the Titans.
I like that.
But I think it's the best case scenario for the Chiefs and for him, because it's like you're playing at the top level, and then you go off injuries, you're losing, and it's like, okay, how do we find our way back home? Well, let's go home, and let's see if we can re-spark what we had. Sometimes we see this with cornerbacks where they're playing at a high level, but it's like a flash in the pan and it's gone. Man, we had a couple of good years with some players that if I said their names, you wouldn't even know who I'm talking about. It happens all the time. And, we'll see what happens. I mean, Steve Spagnolia's defense, obviously he's familiar and nothing's changed on that. So I think it's it's a pretty friendly deal. It's only up to $5 million. So I think it's a win-win for both parties. Interesting how the Chiefs keep addressing everything besides wide receiver again.
And they were almost forced to. They traded McDuffie, and their other starter, Jalen Watson, left in free agency. I mean, they had a couple guys drafted, Mansour Delane. They signed Kohu and Khair Elam. But to bring L'Jarius Sneed back, I think it solidifies that room with a more of a veteran presence. But it's like they were almost forced to bring somebody back, and L'Jarius Sneed is like, "I'll do it."
Well, this next segment I'm really excited about, because we're going to talk about. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys were tracking Abdul Carter's twisted ankle at minicamp, but from what we've heard from it, it doesn't look serious. And good. I just wanted to throw these at you really quick before we talk about the segment I'm pumped about, and it'll probably take more time than all these other ones we've done. But Jacoby Brissett reported to mandatory minicamp, which runs Monday through Wednesday, as he seeks a new contract. And remember, he's missed all of the team's voluntary workouts, which is a big deal. Because when you're the quarterback, you're the veteran. Like when Sean came in, his goal was to have 100% participation in voluntary workouts. Now, how do you do that? Well, you have to be able to show the data to the new players that, look, these are all the players that report to our voluntary program, and we are the least injured team in the NFL. And that has to do with the way that we train. That way players don't feel like they need to go out and spend money privately to get great training. So it really all starts from just shelling out a good product that the players buy into, and then they want to show up. Now, you have your veteran players who it's like, well, man, if Von Miller doesn't need to show up, then why do I show up? So if you're a head coach and this is part of the culture you're trying to set, it's crucial that your leaders and your captains show up, because it sets, precedents for everybody. Like, hey, this is something that the captains are showing up to. Who am I not to show up to it? I'm just a rookie. I can't not show up if Jacoby Brissett's showing up. But Jacoby Brissett didn't show up, and that has to do with some contract negotiation issues. What do you have on this?
So he signed the 2-year deal, $12.5 million. And when he went to the Cardinals, it was like, you're the backup to Kyler Murray. Obviously, Kyler Murray got injured, and now he's with the Vikings. So the Cardinals were kind of already, even at the beginning of the season when they inked Jacoby Brissett, it was more of like a safety net type of move, right? Because they were already at odds with Kyler. Kyler's been speculated to be moved from the Arizona Cardinals or traded, whatever. It seems like for forever, honestly. And really, when they signed him to that big deal, it was like, okay, so they really are leading into it. And then it just hasn't worked out since then. But Jacoby Brissett wants starting quarterback money. And that's not to say he wants a deal like Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, whatever. He just wants to be paid more than his $6 million that he's going to get paid over his 2-year contract. And that's all fine and dandy. I think Jacoby Brissett maybe has earned a little bit more, but you're really not amazing, right? Like last year was his best year. 3,300 yards passing, 23 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Now, if you're looking at a backup with those numbers, awesome. But if you're looking at your starter with those numbers, you're not super thrilled, I guess, to say. And that's with the emergence of Michael Wilson last season. They've got a tight end in God, I forget his name right now. The tight end for the Arizona Cardinals, but they've also got the one wide receiver, right? That they drafted a couple years ago, Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. Yeah, there you go. So with most starting quarterbacks not on rookie deals making over 30, he wants a pay bump, obviously. So he's only guaranteed $1.5 million. The Cardinals also inked or had drafted Carson Beck, which they're hoping might be the guy that works out for them. I'm not saying that Brissett is wrong in wanting to ask for more money as a starting quarterback of an NFL franchise. I'm just saying, like, I think he should be able to do all this and somewhat play nice with the Cardinals, because they're going to be the only team, in my opinion, that give him a legitimate shot at starting the NFL season as a starting quarterback for their team. I really do. Like, he's doing the mandatory stuff, because if he didn't, he would have been fined upwards of $100,000 for missing mandatory things. Now, he might just go to these mini camps and not do anything, but at least he showed up. That's the bare minimum that contract stuff requires. But in my opinion, Brissett, play nice, because this is going to be one of the only opportunities this season that you're going to be able to start for a team. Like, honestly.
Yeah, and how many more? I think Jacoby Brissett's probably getting to the point where he's like, this is my last chance. Yeah. And because of that, I need to cash in.
100%.
And Jacoby Brissett, as much as the Cardinals need, or as much as he needs the Cardinals, I think he knows they need him.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he doesn't show up, what are they doing? They're going with the rookie, right?
Either that or Gardner Minshew, who had a 1-year deal.
None of those are selling Super Bowl.
Nope.
You know?
Nope.
Neither is Jacoby Brissett, by the way.
No, and I was saying earlier, like he had a career year last season, but that doesn't necessarily mean like that you should just skip all these workouts or have this tension with the team when this is your best opportunity to kind of stay in the league at this point with, you know, at his age, at where he's been in his career and what he's done so far up to this point. It's honestly, if I feel like if he would have played nice with the Cardinals and be like, hey, you know, I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to make some more money. They could have definitely worked something out because like you said, they do need him to stay there because they cannot just start with Gardner Minshew or even start Carson Beck if he doesn't do well in training camp or anything like that. They both need each other. It's just now what's the dollar figure that they can both come to where it's, you know, good for both sides.
And make no mistake about it, Jacoby Brissett doesn't have an agent, and his whole entire career he's represented himself. And a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we all know he's a bridge quarterback at best. He doesn't have a ton of contract leverage, but I think all this comes down to is like Brissett took note, in my opinion, probably took note of Malik Willis's 3-year deal, getting $45 million fully guaranteed.
Good point.
And for 2 years, like with a limited track record, I think he's sitting there saying, well, if Malik Willis, like, you know, can pull this kind of money, I mean, you don't have an agent, so you're kind of just going by the market. It's not like you have an agent to tell you like, hey, this is what, you know, this is what we should be aiming for. You know, we should be raising the bar. You're just kind of, you know, this is the gamble you take by not having an agent. But then all of a sudden the deal's done, and then Malik Willis's deal happens, and then all of a sudden you see Jacoby Brissett is like, I want to restructure. And it does feel a little bit like, oh shit. Like, you know, have you seen American or War Dogs, where he's like the lowest bidder, and then he's like, how much did we underbid by? And he's like, $60 million cheaper than the highest bid. And they realized they left $60 million on the table, essentially.
Oh my God.
And it's like, oh, I changed my mind. I want 50 more million. You know? And that's kind of like, you think you're making a good deal, and then Malik Willis's deal happens, and then you're like, I'm not showing up to mandatory minicamp.
I have made this decision myself with no outside resources.
Right. And I don't know, like, I don't think any of these quarterbacks are really selling like deep playoff run.
No, the Cardinals are clearly, and especially with new head coach Mike LaFleur, they are taking this year and being like, okay, we know what we've got in Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, and Trey McBride. What we don't know is the quarterback. Can Carson Beck actually step up and do something? And what about our defense? Can we do any? This first year under Mike LaFleur is going to be a lot of like plug and play, what lineup works, and just kind of assessing. Honestly, they're not going to have any type of Patriots, Bears type of seasons where they're like going into this season with hopes to win their division. Especially when you have the 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams in your division. There should be zero hope on that. It's going to be a lot of experimenting and a lot of like what's working, what's not working. And one of the biggest ones is quarterback.
Yeah. And look, last year, though, I mean, he honestly, you said he had his best season.
Yeah, 3,300 yards.
I agree.
8 interceptions.
33-66.
Yeah.
23 touchdowns, 8 picks. Passer rating almost 95. His completion percentage probably higher than Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, maybe even Drake May. At 65%. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he deserves more money. I just don't know if he should have like sat out like some of these other guys sit out. You know?
Yeah, and let's see. Last year, actually, Drake May's completion percentage was 72%. Jared Goff was 68%, at number 2. Dak Prescott, 67 at 3. Sam Darnold, 67. Tua Tagovailoa, 67. No, that's skewed because of the way he was throwing it. Dunk and dip and dunk and dip and. But
Dive
at
and
least
duck.
and dip and dive and
duck.
dodge.
Lily in the chat. What up? Bow, 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 bow.
But yeah, so completion percentage leader last year was Drake May. The year before it was Tua. Jake Browning was the leader in 2023. Good old Jake Browning. And where the hell is Jake Browning today?
He's probably still on the Bengals, right?
You want to know what's really impressive, though? Every year it's different. It's like Drake May, Tua, Jake Browning, Geno Smith, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers. Now watch this. Before 2020, right? Because we know Drew Brees retired in 2021. Look at 2019, Drew Brees, 2018, Drew Brees, 2017, Drew Brees, 2011, Drew Brees, 2010, Drew Brees, 2009, Drew Brees.
That dude was a completions machine.
It's like,
yeah.
I mean, this is pretty crazy. Kurt Warner had a similar stretch for 3 years.
Yeah, he was automatic.
Yeah. And then Steve Young did the same thing from 1994 to 97. He was number 1 in the league. Tony Romo, weirdly enough, in 2014. Anyway, let's get into what 80s quarterback. I'm just kidding.
Is the best of all time.
John Elway. Period. No, let's talk worst to first. This is my favorite segment of the year. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's up there. It's definitely up there. I like it because we get to sit back, and I got to say, I predicted the Patriots last year.
You did, yeah.
And you laughed at me so hard.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
You were not on board with that one.
No, I was not. I really did think they weren't going to have an amazing year, and if I remember correctly, we had a person on that stream who was a Patriots fan who agreed with you, or it said maybe second, right, to the Bills, maybe, but I had them dead last.
Great memory.
I had the Patriots dead last because I thought Tua and the Dolphins, okay, yeah, they're kind of going through their shit, but I thought, hey, you string a couple wins along, blah, 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 and then the Jets, I thought they were going to be third, which meant the Patriots were fourth because I put the Bills at first again. But I laughed at you. I laughed at that guy. And I was like, look, if you prove me wrong, you prove me wrong. But there's no way they're going from worst to first. Not only that, they went to the Super Bowl. So it's like it was even worse in hindsight. Yeah.
But okay. Well, and I don't say that to be like, haha. I say that to say, like, sometimes you're that right, and sometimes you're as wrong as you.
Oh,
and you just, like, I feel like there's no middle with this. Like, you're either like, that's why this segment's awesome, because it's not worst to second or worst to third. It's worst to first. So if you got like somebody that could compete with second, leave it out of the segment. Okay. We're talking about teams that finished last. So by default, we only have 8 candidates. And this is a very tough segment, because you go down the list of, like, are the Raiders going to be first in the AFC West? No. Like, no way. Because even if the Broncos and Chargers fell apart, like, you'd need the Chiefs too as well. Like,
to be bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then there's other divisions where maybe it's entertainable. And look, if we get to the point where we don't have like a worst to first, we'll make an exception this year because it's difficult. We'll go third to first as well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pull up 2025 division rankings, NFL, and here we go. Get all the division standings. I got them. So we had the Patriots, the Steelers, the Jags, the Broncos, the Eagles, the Bears, the Panthers, and the Seahawks all finish first. Okay. Finishing last in all the divisions, we had Jets, Browns, Titans, Raiders, Lions, Giants, Saints, Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
So, finishing third in these divisions, we had Dolphins, Bengals, Colts, Chiefs, Commanders, Vikings, Falcons, 49ers. So, obviously, opening the door to the number 3. Automatically, I mean, anybody could be like, well, I got the Chiefs. Like, there's some wiggle room now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go first. What stands out to you? Or I can go first. I got one ready to go now if you want me to go first.
Yeah, you go first and then I'll play off that.
Okay, so my worst to first, I'm going to be actually bold here. I'm not going to go third to first. I'm going to go worst to first, New York Giants. I think the New York Giants, R.I.P. Bill.
R.I.P. Bill.
I think this is a year for the Giants. They bring in John Harbaugh. Now, we've seen what happens when you bring in like a guy that really knows what he's doing. He knows how to set a culture of winning. Say what you want about Harbaugh with the Ravens. The Ravens were first many years. The talent on the Giants has been good enough to be competing in the playoffs first. I mean, well, last year they got the quarterback, I think. Jackson Dart needs to figure out how to do what he does without getting hurt.
Yep.
And this is my X factor. If if Jackson Dart can stay healthy for the entirety of the season, I have the New York Giants being my worst to first team. You look at their defense, man, their defense is loaded. Now, make a case for the Giants being first in the NFC East next year. Easy. Look at Scatabo, look at Dart, look at what they have on the defensive line, look at the tight end that they have. Was it Theo Johnson, I believe? Now, they went 4-13 last year, so I understand that we're being optimistic. But the elite coaching upgrade, I mean, you got a special teams mastery, which special teams actually has a lot to do with. I think it's one of the slept on things in the league, field position, but Harbaugh is a special teams genius. The other thing is, what are the Giants going to be? Well, I think that the way that you can get the most out of the Giants is if they lean into their physicality. And I think when you look at what Harbaugh does, a physical, run-heavy identity, a very physical team, that's what Harbaugh does. I believe that that's what his staff and the players on the Giants team do well. I think he's also a strong candidate for Coach of the Year. And if I had to bet on one today, it would be John Harbaugh.
Oh, I like that.
Jackson Dart. I saw what I saw last year. I saw what I saw, and nobody can tell me different. Jackson Dart was elite last year. Now, when he lost his running game and he lost his head coach and he had to deal with a different play caller and then he got concussion, like obviously the whole thing kind of went to shit. But if you need to remind yourself what happened, go watch week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7. Go watch him go toe to toe. I mean, okay, they scored. Jackson Dart put up more points against the Broncos than anybody last year. And that was that crazy game that was like 38-41 or whatever it ended up being, where Denver scored 33 in the fourth quarter when they were honoring Demaryius Thomas. Like, I saw Jackson Dart, man, we gave him the ball back. He scored another touchdown. And it was like, oh my God, now we need Bo Nix to go on a game-winning drive. Again, he had to go on 2 of them in the final 2 minutes because Jackson Dart kept scoring. Like, Dart has that it factor where he isn't, the moment's not too big for him. He's extremely clutch and he's very good at maneuvering, and he's just a gamer. Like, you know, a gamer when you're watching one on TV, like the guy is a gamer. He finds a way to put his team in position to win. Like I said, The one thing is, like, if I have one caveat for this whole thing, I need Jackson Dart to stay healthy all year.
Yeah.
If he doesn't stay healthy, this whole thing goes to shit. Now, we already saw him deal with 3 concussions, it felt like, last year.
Yeah.
So
like him and Scatabo combined for double-digit concussions last season, it seemed like.
So we really need that. We need Scatabo to come back and be healthy as well. But you look at the roster reload in free agency plus the draft, they added proven veterans. Obviously, Isaiah Likely came with Harbaugh. I think that is a lot more than people may think. Trayman Edmonds at linebacker.
Yeah.
I love the addition of Darnell Mooney with Malik Neighbors. This team, dude, I'm telling you, this team has been slowly stacking, and they bring in solid O-line help too. They had a strong draft in 2026. I have down here, they bring in, they spent a high pick on an offensive lineman in Francis Mugoya, however, offensive line last names. We're not going to get it.
No, not at all.
Ever. Wide receiver, they bring in Malachi Fields. Then they bring in edge linebacker talent. They traded Dexter Lawrence, but then they gained a bunch of capital. The result of all of it, a more physical, balanced team ready to compete. And I think why you saw Jackson Dart take a lot of concussions last year is because Jackson Dart, once Scatabo went down, pretty much had to carry the whole entire team. He had no Malik Neighbors out there.
Yeah.
He was
also hurt.
And so I think Harbaugh understands this, and he's going to say, kid, you're not going to have to make it all happen. As long as he can instill into the psyche of Jackson Dart that it's not on your shoulders. You don't have to do it. We have built a team around you. This seems to me like a team that's ready to go. And finally, their schedule, it's very favorable. They have a middle of pack strength of schedule. Sometimes you get a team that seems like they're ready, and then they get fucking crushed with the worst schedule ever.
Yeah.
And you're just oof. Actually, our schedule, there's never been a team in NFL history that has their first 6 games against playoff opponents from last year. It's never happened. This year, Denver has 5, but the 6 is the Chiefs, who missed the playoffs. But it's is that really a pass? Is that an off? Are you going to have an off week that week? No, obviously the Chiefs are tough, but it's Chiefs, Seattle, it's all just brutal.
It's tough. Yeah.
Chargers, Jacksonville, and it's just boom, 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 boom. But luckily it lightens up in the second half. For the Giants, it's middle of the pack. The Eagles are talented, but we know they're facing some questions at coaching. AJ Brown's gone now. The Cowboys have a strong offense, but still defensive overhaul, new pieces, some question marks. The Commanders are young, but questions at quarterback. Can they stay healthy? I actually feel really good about the Commanders this year, and I think the Commanders are the team that's going to give the Giants a run for their money. But I'm just happy to say that these Commanders-Giants games are going to be very meaningful, and it's not going to be like last year where Giants-Commanders is ooh, should we flex this out of primetime? I could see this game in December having number 1 in the division implications. And I think that's just really exciting. But I would project right now for the Giants an 11-6 type season. And I think that if you have just not really been paying attention to the Giants, this could kind of catch you off guard. But I think if you've been watching throughout the years, them continue to bring in pieces. And now this coach, I just see it. I think it's all going to work really well.
And I like that because, what you said earlier was Jackson Dart, it kind of midway through the season, it was he's taking all these hits because he kind of had to do it himself. Cam Scatabo was out with the ankle injury. Malik Neighbors was out with another injury. I believe it was an ACL or something. I forget exactly what it was. But you look at the roster, and you're absolutely right. They've got guys up and down. They got Jackson Dart at quarterback, Cam Scatabo at running back. They've got Darius Slayton, Malik Neighbors, Darnell Mooney, who was a new addition, Isaiah Likely at tight end, right? On the offensive side. Then you go to the defensive side, and it's like Brian Burns, Arvell Reese, who they just drafted, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter. Obviously, he just went down with a bit of an injury. It doesn't seem to be serious. But you've got guys all across the defensive line and the second level, and then you get to their safeties, right? Javon Holland, cornerbacks, Greg Newsome. Like, you've got Brian Burns. You got guys on the defense all throughout this team that can make it happen. And the addition of John Harbaugh is like, it solidifies it even more. The Washington Commanders are kind of reeling from a very disappointing season last year. The Eagles just traded AJ Brown. It seems like whatever chemistry that locker room had during the Super Bowl season is kind of getting like it's just rough for them right now. And then the Cowboys are also the biggest question mark, I feel like, in the East. Can they make a push for first to win the division, or are they going to be kind of on the back burner as well? Because who knows what kind of season they're going to have, right? But like you said, the Giants, and I think we talked about this a few weeks ago on a stream, was like the Giants, I could absolutely see them making a push for first in the division. So I like that worst to first. And I'm going to stick here in the NFC. And I think for me, this is me with the team with the greatest chance to go from worst to first. The best chance out of all 8 teams is the Detroit Lions in the North. Last season, right, they had a lot of injuries, specifically on the defensive side of the ball too. And then Jared Goff didn't play that well the second half of the season. It seemed like everything was going wrong. The losing Ben Johnson effect. Everybody was saying it about the offense. They were still pretty good offensively to start off the year. I mean, they blew the doors off the Bears in week 2. So it just seemed like, okay, it's kind of just, another day at the office for the Lions. And then you saw them. Yes, they ended up with a winning record, but they were 4th in that division. The NFC North was a tough division last year, and I think it's going to continue to go that way. But I think the Lions are going to reassess what did and didn't work last season, and they got the best chance to go from worst to first in the North, because right now, right, like over the last few seasons, it's been the Lions that have been the best team in the North, but then they had that kind of like last game playoff type of game 2 seasons ago with the Vikings, where it seemed like maybe the Vikings are the best in the division, but it was the Lions who came out on top. Then you saw the Packers lurking there, who just love to get that 7th seed in the playoffs. And of course the Bears now with where they're at with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. But I think the team with the best to go from worst to first is the Detroit Lions. I mean, they still have very much the same roster. The offensive line is going to obviously look a little bit different with retirements and moves here and there. And while I didn't really look at their schedule, I think the Lions Lions schedule ranks 27th in the league by average projected DVOA of their opponents, meaning that they have the easiest schedule amongst the NFC North opponents. And obviously all this stuff is based off the year prior, but I still think it kind of does help them. And I think they're going to take advantage of that, right? So I think the team with the best position to go from worst to first is the Lions in the NFC North. It's going to be competitive. And I think last season I said that the NFC North, a lot of these teams are going to finish within 2-3 games of each other. And for the most part, that's exactly what happened. The Bears won the division with 11 wins. The Lions had a 9-win season. They still had a winning record. They were just 2 games behind the division-winning Bears. So I think this NFC North is going to be easy for turnover in terms of division winner.
Yeah, I like that one. And honestly, like not to say like I'm throwing shade or anything, but it does feel like the low-hanging fruit here. Like the Lions sitting there at last. It's like, wait a minute, how did that happen? It wasn't the Vikings. Because I think a lot of people would have thought like it was the Vikings. And if you're a Vikings fan listening to this, like you lost Kirk Cousins, you lost Sam Darnold, and now Rick's here, not even, saying that they're going to make it to first, but not even a candidate. Right. Yeah. And I think it's getting to the point where Viking fans are like,
damn it. It never, ever, ever goes our way.
Damn it.
And honestly, though, that graphic was more for the Saints.
Oh yeah,
because it does feel like ever since Sean Payton was like, I'm out of here. It seem like Sean knew something that they didn't. I mean, he's been gone now for 6 years.
Well, yeah, but that's because he had the whole Bounty Gate thing happen. I don't know if that was his choice. It was just more like he did something shitty with the Saints, then got suspended an entire year, and then wasn't coaching for forever.
No.
Yeah.
No. The Bounty Gate thing happened like 10 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why he was banned from coaching in the league for a year and then didn't coach since.
Yeah, he did.
When did he coach?
I mean, he came back and coached for like 7 years after that with the Saints.
Sean Payton.
Bounty Gate was like 2005 or 2007, maybe.
No, it was after that. Hold on, Sean Payton Bounty Gate.
Sean was suspended in 2012. He was
bounties on
reinstated in 2013.
Yes.
So 8 years with the Saints after.
A slush fund for paying the bounties was found to have operated from the 2009 season to the 2011-2012 playoffs. Yeah, league head coach Sean Payton was suspended for the entire 2012 season, and yeah, so he was suspended the entire 2012 season, and then
but then he came back in 2013, and then he was with the
Saints. Did he?
Yeah, and then he was with
coaching.
I think it was 2021 he retired from the Saints. No, 2022.
2013 to 2021. Yeah, because at that point he had lost I think it was those couple. It was when Drew Brees was like his arm was gone.
Well, they went to the NFC Championship where there was the bad pass interference, where if they would have converted that first down, they could have just ran the clock out and kicked the field goal and won the game and gone to the Super Bowl.
I really did think that was his last time coaching the Saints, but
that's crazy.
Yeah,
because it was so long ago.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, I wonder why you thought that, because like we were doing this podcast together when Sean was still coaching.
No, we started in.
Oh wait, no, we started
22.
the 1 year we started the year he retired from the Saints.
Correct. Yeah.
And then he came back the next year
for the Broncos. Yeah. So maybe that's why I don't know. I just really did think that was kind of the end of that, but it was never kind of the same, I would say, after.
No, it was like the Saints were dominant like most of those years. Like that, like not dominant, but like NFC Championship, winning the division. Like let me see. So he came back in 2013.
2017 saw the Saints achieve their first winning record
season
since 2013 with an 11-5 record in 2017.
Yeah, 2013 they went 11-5. Then 2014, 2015 they were 7-9.
Yeah, in 2017, that was the year that Stephon Diggs had the Minneapolis Miracle.
Oh, yeah. And then the next year was the pass interference, and they were 13-3.
Yep.
And that was the NFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And so those were 2 good years.
Yeah.
And then 2020, he went through like 5 quarterbacks because like it was the COVID year. I remember they had like Taysom Hill, they had Jameis Winston, they had Drew Brees, they had a bunch in these. No, they were 12-4. No. So 2021 was the year that all happened. So yeah, I mean
2021 was his last year.
So yeah, 2019 they won 13 games.
Mm-hmm.
2020 they won 12 games. 2021 they won 9 games.
Yeah.
And then he retired.
Yeah, because it was 21 when they only won 9 games. It was already that year was the first year without Drew Brees.
I guess I'm just saying it wasn't like the same. it wasn't like Bountygate happened and the Saints were irrelevant.
Right. They were still relevant after that season. Yeah.
It was more like they were in like I think they were having front office disagreements about cap and money. And I think the Saints like owed the most money in the NFL. Like they had like negative $200 million.
And it's still happening to this day.
Yeah. And it's not like they fixed it.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Like, what is the I'm wondering like Chris Olave is the highest paid player on the team. NFL team salary cap right now from overthecap.com, the 49ers have the most cap space by like 30 million.
Ooh,
and I think that must be something we probably could have brought up in the Brandon Aiyuk thing, because it's like the number 2 teams, the Titans with 49 million. Number 1 is the 49ers with 71 million.
Jesus Christ.
So that's a $22 million separation. And from first to second.
Yeah.
The Broncos have 25 million. The Bears have 8. The Bears are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th lowest, but still not in the negative.
Yeah, thank God.
But they're going to have to pay Caleb soon.
They're going to have to pay him after this season or at the end of, I think it's before his 4th season, where they will pick up the player option, but more than likely, they're going to give him an extension.
Yeah. And let me ask you this before we wrap it up. The quarterbacks, Drake May, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels. As far as I'm concerned, like really Drake May, Bo Nix, and Caleb Williams kind of separated themselves. Not to say Jaden Daniels is like out. I'm just saying
the injury hurt.
Yeah. Which one of these quarterbacks do you think gets paid first?
Oof, great question.
And do you think all 3 of them will end up signing long-term contracts to their team?
Yes, I 100% believe that. Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Jaden Daniels have all been in the playoffs by at least their second year. Jaden Daniels obviously went to the conference championship, and Bo Nix went to the wild card or divisional round the first year.
First year wild card against Buffalo.
Yeah, so all 4 of these quarterbacks have been to, at minimum, a divisional round, with 3 of the 4 of them going to the conference championship. They're all gonna get paid. All 4 of them are gonna get paid. Jaden Daniels, like, unless he has a really bad year 3 and it's like he's healthy and he's really bad, he's gonna get paid. Who signs first is actually a very good question, because if I'm being honest,
I think it would be the Commanders, right?
I was thinking Bo Nix or Drake May, because it seems like the Broncos, let me say this, the Broncos, now that they're under that whole Russ money deal shit, they got money now. Like they're able to kind of like do this. So I think they'll give it to Bo first. And if not, I think Drake May will get it because of his Super Bowl year. But I think each single one of them wants to be the highest paid, going into their 5th season or whatever.
Yeah.
It does depend a lot.
I think it's going to be Denver. And the reason is because the trend, like if you look at Patrick Surtain, Nick Benito, Zach Allen, the reason Denver has been able to like keep all their superstars is because they paid them all first.
Yeah.
And, whoever pays their quarterback last out of this group of 4 quarterbacks is going to be the worst off, because obviously the market's going to reset every time.
Yeah.
So, honestly, and this is going to sound crazy, but I wouldn't be shocked if like we're in the middle of August and all of a sudden Bo Nix signs 5-year, $200-300 million contract.
I
and
wouldn't
it's
be
just
surprised
like
either.
No one heard anything.
Yeah.
No one knew anything.
Yeah.
And wow, I just got goosebumps, dude. Just like thinking about it. Like,
and the crazier thing too is like, it all depends on what happens after this season, really, because depending on everybody's season, like, do the Broncos, the Patriots, the Bears, and the Commanders, do all of them make it to the divisional round again? Do a couple of them make it to the conference championship? Do any of them make it to the Super Bowl? And if
do you think
so,
that matters? Like, I don't
oh
think
yeah,
Caleb Williams. I don't think Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Drake May, 3 of them. I don't think that they have anything to prove at this point. Like, I don't think that there's anything the owners. I don't think there's. And actually, Sean Payton did a long form interview yesterday, and I watched it today on my drive home from work. And he goes, when we're drafting a quarterback, he was thinking about drafting Bo Nix, and he said 3 years from now. He didn't say next year. He said 3 years from now, are we going to be happy we made this choice? And he goes, and I think the answer is yes. And then he goes, no. I know that the answer is yes. We're very happy.
Yep.
So I don't think for like the Bears and the Patriots and Broncos that their front office is like, there's nothing like, obviously they want to see continued success, but I don't think that it's like, if they don't make the divisional round, it's like they start flirting with the idea of moving off these quarterbacks.
I meant it more as leverage for the player themselves. So, for
like
example,
their agent would want to hold out.
Exactly. Like, for example, Drake May went to a Super Bowl his second year. You can make the argument that Bo Nix could have also made the Super Bowl in his second year. It would have been one of them two, right? The past AFC Championship game. Jane Daniels, Conference Championship game. Caleb Williams, divisional round, ridiculous throws in year 2. But if he makes it to a Conference Championship, again, there's more leverage for these guys to be able to ask for, I want the same money that Josh Allen got. I want the same money that Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are getting, or Dak Prescott, right? $55 million a year and up is what these 4 quarterbacks, as long as everything goes well, is what they're going to ask for. It's that. And when one of these guys eventually signs first, the next guy's going to want 500,000 to $1 million more total.
Yeah.
And then the guy after that, 500,000 to $1 million more. And then the guy after that, 500,000 to $1 million more. And really, I think, like I said, like conference championship game, divisional, all these accolades, whatever. I think it's gonna help them in leverage play for sure.
And that's why I think Bo will go first, because Greg Penner, these guys are like very business mind. Like, they understand that it's all about getting the cheapest deal, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's how they're looking at it. And they're like, do we know that we have our quarterback? Yes, then let's get him as cheap as possible.
Yeah, and I feel like Bo Nix too is going to be one of those guys who's going to be working with them. But I also think that because he knows that it's the Walter Penner Group, whatever, and they have like billions of dollars, that I think also kind of plays into where he's going to be like, I got you to the conference championship. You know, obviously before this year happens, and we'll see where the Broncos and Bo Nix go this year. But I think knowing that he's got one of the richest owners in the NFL, I think that'll play into his negotiations as well.
Yeah. And last question for you. Are the Bears going to be still like called Chicago Bears? Because I'm serious. I heard about this like thing with Indiana, but I'm also hearing that they're going to call it Chicagoland. And it's like, I know people from Chicago are like, nobody from that area is from Chicago. And it's true. Like, I have my whole uncle, their whole side of the family lives in Chicago. We go every year to visit them. Like, when we go to Chicago to visit them, we go to Chicago. We don't go to Indiana. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, we go to Chicago.
Exactly.
So it's kind of weird. I've never been through something like this. I know for everyone
must be
watching,
nice.
I know for everyone watching, you put out a long form video. I wasn't able to hop on that, and you guys can go check that out. But I was curious, in like 60 seconds, like, what are they going to change the name? Have you heard anything about that? And like, how are you holding up with your mental health?
It was so funny because when I came home on Friday from work, I was eating something and my wife was sitting next to me, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "The Bears." And I was like, "Oh, you're right." So Friday, the Bears, Kevin Warren McCaskey put out a statement saying that they're moving forward with with moving Indiana to Hammond. What was crazy about the statement was, one, they said with a site to be selected. There's only one place that the Bears and Hammond, Indiana can place a stadium, and it's a golf course area that they're no longer using. So one, that was very interesting to still leave it open-ended even after knowing exactly where is the only place you can build it. Two, they also said, we are connecting the Bears from Hammond, Indiana through the South Loop into the city, all the way up to the north suburbs. No, you're not, because that's exactly what you said. Chicago is Chicago. Everywhere outside of Chicago is called Chicagoland because they want to be associated with a big city. Mental health wise, I am very, very nervous because I said it on the live stream the other day on Friday, where I said, if the Bears move to Indiana, I will no longer buy merch, and it might take me a really, really long time to actually go to a game in Indiana if that is a move.
Wait, but what would their name be?
So that they'll still be the Chicago Bears regardless.
Oh, okay.
The reason, and
I think that's the most important thing. And
that,
call me crazy, but like, if the Denver Broncos had to move for, I don't know,
like if they moved to Boulder, for example.
No, that would be sick. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. I love Boulder. No, like if they move, this is more like if they moved to Kansas City or like Missouri.
Right.
Like, because even though it's 45 minutes, like Boulder from Denver, it's about being in a different state, in my opinion. Because like Denver could move anywhere in Colorado, and as long as they stayed with the name, I don't know. I mean, I would be disappointed because I miss like the histories in Denver. It's like when I'm in that seat, I'm like, man, John Elway. Like, it's like there's no history in this other place.
Yeah,
and so like that part sucks. But I think I could like come to terms with it. Now, if they were like, it's going to Missouri and they're going to be the Missouri Broncos
or Nebraska or Wyoming, which is the most closest neighboring states.
Yeah, like the Wyoming Broncos, like
Cheyenne Broncos.
I mean, Cheyenne would be kind of dope just because of that George Strait song. I can still make Cheyenne. But like I think like if they kept the name Denver and they went to Wyoming, but they were still the Denver Broncos, it still sucks.
Yeah.
But like at least we have the name. I know I'm just trying to find the silver lining, but it's like it sucks so bad. But if you take the name away, you realize how much more that sucks.
Yeah, and I put up a TikTok on this. The city of Hammond, Indiana is shaped like an L. So to move your team from Chicago to a city in Indiana that smells funky as soon as you cross that border and is shaped with city limits of an L, first of all, no. Secondly, a lot of people were saying the Giants and the Jets play in New Jersey. Get over it. The Giants and the Jets have been playing in New Jersey since the 70s. They've been playing for well over 40 and 50 years in New Jersey.
Dallas is in Arlington. Miami is in Miami Gardens. It's
it's not necessarily that they've been there forever. The NFL is not the NFL back then to what we know of today. The Bears have been playing in Chicago since the 20s. Since 1921, when they moved from Decatur to Chicago and played in Wrigley Field and then in Soldier Field since the 70s. They have roots in Chicago. That is a tough sell for any fan base to be like, hey, this team that has been playing in this city for well over, I don't know, what is that, like 30, 50 years, 55 years to be exact. After this season, it'll be 55 years. We're moving it to, yes, a place that is south of Soldier Field and maybe only like a 30-minute drive, technically closer than Arlington is to Soldier Field, but it's in another state. It just doesn't sit right with me, man. It doesn't. Like, I'm all for moving to Arlington Heights, but I'm also all for staying in Chicago. It's just the politics, the public land. The NFL is pressuring the Bears into owning their own stadium so they can, use it for the Super Bowl, which wouldn't be a problem, but they also are forcing them for higher prices, things like that. This just has been a clusterfuck ever since Warren sank his claws into it. So I would be disappointed. Are they still going to be called the Chicago Bears? Yes. Are they going to be called the Hammond or Indiana Bears? They better not, because then at that point,
this isn't like determined yet.
No, because that statement still left it open-ended. Again, there's only one place in Indiana and Hammond that you can build a stadium and obviously a entertainment district around that stadium. For the Bears to say a site to be selected means that it's still open-ended. And that's exactly what it would look like.
I saw this posted, and it was like the picture of the Bears new stadium. And I said, you know what's kind of funny about this? It's kind of hard.
It goes kind of hard. Like
it goes kind of hard, doesn't it though?
No.
Okay. I'm just saying though. I mean, a little bit. It's like, we're the Monstars, MON, and then they can't spell the rest, but like,
yeah.
No, it just seems like this is a place you go to die.
Yeah, like nobody in their right minds wants to go to Hammond, Indiana, full of factories, stank, and just.
I will say though,
shit like that.
I will say, Silver Lining Kyle. I will say, the cities that have the most to do, and I've gone to 20 Miami Heat games.
Mm-hmm.
Not the greatest home field advantage. A lot of business meetings going on.
Yeah.
Like we got a booth, we're having cocktails, and it's like, it's just something we do when
Not
you go
fandom.
when you go to a place like this and the stadium's packed, we're all here for one thing. And we know
that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, I hate that this had to happen. I don't understand why they couldn't just get rid of Soldier Field and build a new one and then play temporarily in, Notre Dame or something.
They can't knock down. So just to give you a little bit of background context, everything east of or south, I forget exactly where, Lakeshore Drive, the street in Michigan Avenue, these streets in Chicago, everything along the lakefront is public property, which means that's good. That means that everyone from Chicago and anybody visiting Chicago can enjoy the lakefront without having to deal with people of private property. To me, that's great. The thing that the Bears don't like is that they don't own their own stadium and they don't even own the land that the stadium's on. So that means that they cannot build hotels. They cannot build sports bars. They cannot build sports books. They can't build restaurants. They can't generate revenue like all these other teams can from the land and stadium that they own, unfortunately, which is what the Bears want to do. The thing is, it's like you could absolutely make it a thing where it's like the city owns the land, but the Bears are able to build on it and still keep it open to the public. It's just that there's property tax things that the Bears want guarantees of, and there's this organization called Friends of the Park of Chicago that's part of the Chicago Public Parks organization, where they don't want anything private to be built on that. There's positives on both sides, but the biggest thing is that Illinois politicians, the mayor, the governor, have had a really long time to be able to make this a priority. And not to say that it isn't, it's just that they haven't done anything in terms of trying to make amends here. So that was my little thing. I go into it a little bit more in detail on the Friday live stream if you guys want to go check that out. But that's kind of like, a
it's
quick
mostly
summary.
JB Pritzker's fault. From what I understand, because he's the supermajority in the legislator. Like,
so yes, but
like, is there one person
entire House
blame?
Vote. No, there's not, unfortunately. Like, Kevin Warren, I could say takes a majority of this blame because the way that he's handled it has been pretty bad because it's been so up and down. And I go into a little bit about what I don't like about Kevin Warren in the last live stream, but there's blame to go around for the Bears, for Mayor Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, and Governor J.B. Pritzker, as well as a bunch of other state reps, House representatives, senators, blah, 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 that share the blame. There's a lot of blame to go around. There's not one person that you can blame this on, but I would say the Illinois politicians have a majority of the blame here.
Yeah, because it stalled because the property tax relief bill that didn't get passed or whatever
last week. Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm going to watch your video on it. I think you guys should too, just if you want some extra information. I'm sure you did a lot of, I know I would. I would need to blame. I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Buy a t-shirt.
And one thing I do want to emphasize too is the Bears are in Soldier Field technically with their lease until 2033. So they can play at Soldier Field. They can buy themselves out of that lease agreement.
So they could play 6 more years there.
They could play 6. Yeah, they could play a good amount of time there and get this done with, the Chicago Parks District, with Arlington Heights. There's no reason to put Indiana in this other than it's a leverage move. And guess what? Illinois, the politicians of Illinois said, you know what? We think you're bluffing. And the Bears said, you think we're bluffing to move to Indiana? Guess what? We're going to put out a statement on Friday that's saying we are moving to Indiana. But they still left it open-ended. So they are, not only did they play their bluff, but they've got the fans, they've got sports media in Chicago, as well as the politicians all scrambling to make this right.
Yeah, and this is let me share this. This is right here. You can see this is where the Broncos Stadium is currently. And then Burnham Yard, I guess, is all of this here.
Yeah.
So for us in 2033 or 2031, which I think is when the Bears want to open theirs as well.
Yep.
This is like kind of what we're dealing with, where it's like Denver's here, their old stadiums, like, behind these buildings. But you obviously it's like still close.
Right.
But even this people are upset about, So
and that's still and imagine that at night game, looking out at the skyline. I think that's kind of sick, dude. Like,
yeah. And they're going to build like a mall, it's going to be like a whole part of Denver that is going to, look at it now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could see why you would be upset too. Like,
but there's like issues with like lead in the ground and shit, like, environmental issues with, breaking ground and exposing chemicals and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on, with that. So, a lot of these teams like are building new stadiums. This is kind of the era of new stadiums in the NFL. It's happening all around Buffalo, Tennessee. Yeah. It's like Washington's getting a new one.
And what's funny about all this, how everybody wants to build an indoor stadium now. I was listening to one of the podcasts that I listened to, a Barstool one. In I don't know how many years exactly, but we're talking tens of years from now. There's people that are going to be like, why did we build indoor stadiums? Why did we take out that element of, Bears cold football, Buffalo football, this and that? And I feel like that's just bound to happen, right? Like, I feel like that's bound to happen.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about this was,
looks like Kyle got cut off there again. Oh God, we don't know what happened. Maybe he exited out. We'll see if he comes back. But yeah, guys, go check out that live stream I did. I go into a little bit more info and kind of just like what me as a Bears fan would be feeling if they do end up moving to Indiana. It's more of a personal note, but I don't go into too nitty gritty of the details with all that. But if you guys want to go check it out, go check out that live stream. And we'll see if Kyle gets back here in a sec, which I'm assuming he will, but unless I get a message saying he can't, then we'll kind of move on from there. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Go check out that live stream I did about the Bears Stadium. Go check out that live stream that Kyle and I did about the Myles Garrett trade and about Caleb Williams being on the Madden cover. I think you guys will find I think you guys will definitely get a kick out of it. We'll see if Kyle joins us here in a second. But worst to first, that's the last thing we were talking about. New Orleans Saints, I with Tyler Shuck and Jordan Tyson being drafted, and then Chris Olave there on the offense, I think honestly they could have a really good opportunity to go from worst to first, just because the NFC South is such a crappy division too. I mean, they won, who was it? The Panthers won it last year with a 9-8 record, beating out the Bucs after the Bucs had dominance over that division. But 9-8 record, I mean, look, we could look at the Saints record and be like, I could see 9 wins there, right? And with emergence of Tyler Shuck, Chris Olave staying healthy, some of those pieces on defense stepping it up, and maybe even getting a little bit younger on defense, depending, of course, on what's going on in that organization, they could probably make that leap. That's not to say the Saints can't make the leap, because I think they can. But the Giants, the Lions, and I think the Saints had the best opportunity. The Cardinals have the worst. Honestly, the Browns possibly. And here we go. We got Kyle back. Wait till his camera turns on. And here we go. Kyle, give me the thumbs up if you're good to go. All right, here we go, Kyle. Yeah, you cut off there.
Oh, yeah, sorry. This is my chives.
Wait.
These are my chives. Oh, sorry. So I wrote this the other night about all the different stadiums, and you bring up a really good point where it's like in 30 years, they're going to be like, why did they take out this element of the game? And, this has been something that's been bothering me as well. And I've been looking into the Titans' new stadium, and I've been realizing that there's been a little bit of greed going on that people might not know about. And I'm going to share with you guys what I've kind of found with a lot of these state-of-the-art stadiums. Opening a brand new state-of-the-art stadium, obviously it's going to read like a post because I wrote it like a post, which I posted. So opening a brand new state-of-the-art stadium only to deliberately keep it undersized, slashing seating capacity by nearly 10,000 seats to manufacture artificial scarcity is one of the most blatant middle fingers to fans I've ever seen. Massive demand meets deliberately restricted supply, and the ticket prices rocket to the moon. This setup only benefits the owners in the NFL, which pockets 34% of ticket revenue. They sell the downsizing as fan-friendly, bigger, more comfortable seats, but the real priority is obvious: maximize revenue per seat while shifting the burden on the everyday fans. These new castles are built for corporate clients who want to rent a luxury suite, sip cocktails, and casually talk business while the game happens in the background. You're going to miss the packed chaos, freezing your ass off, throwing snowballs at the opposing team. This new wave of indoor stadiums hasn't fully pissed me off yet, because it's mostly been warm weather places like Atlanta, Las Vegas, LA, where domes make sense. But if this continues in places like Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore, Denver, Seattle, Chicago, any real cold weather city, we're going to have a serious problem. Honestly, I can't think of a single team that's currently playing outdoors where it would make sense to build them an indoor stadium. Yet we keep forcing domes on markets that don't need them. We already have teams that should never be playing indoors doing exactly that. Hell, half the NFC North is in a dome. Enough is enough. And I know that Buffalo didn't build a dome, and their roof isn't retractable for that and their roof isn't even retractable for that matter. But once you start putting up massive steel overhangs that cover 65% of the seats, and you add wind blockades that kill gusts coming off Lake Erie, you're heading down a slippery slope. And this is basically about Buffalo's new stadium and how they've designed the stadium to take weather elements out of the game. I remember being a little kid on my golden birthday, which, if you guys don't know what that is, it's when you turn the age of the day you were born. So August 5th, my golden birthday was when I turned 5. I remember being a little kid in August 1999 in Wisconsin. I was 5 years old. I got a Green Bay's Packers uniform as a gift. I put the jersey on, I grabbed my football, and I went straight outside in the cold weather, and I stood there screaming, "Ready, Green 18!" while watching my breath fog up on every hard count against my invisible defenders. Because before I knew anything about football, before I understood the rules and the nuances of the game, before I learned any details, strategies, or techniques, this is what football was to me. It was me in the front yard closing my eyes, seeing Brett Favre's red hands under center with his breath fogging up in the cold. That was the art I was in the front yard trying to replicate under single-digit conditions. And it might not seem like much, but this was enough for me, and football would already become my biggest passion. I liked football at 5 years old the same way I liked Rosalind Sanchez when I watched Boat Trip at 9 years old. I didn't know what I liked about her exactly, but I knew I did. We diehard NFL fans who actually care about the game and its history need to push back. Stadiums should feel unique, electric, and alive. Some venues were built to be played in the elements, and that raw feel is a big part of what makes this game so special. You can't swap out the heart and soul of football for luxury boxes and AI self-checkout kiosks. This is not the way. And I wrote that because I did feel like for a lot of the stadiums that have already been built, it kind of feels like we've already kind of hit our threshold where if we continue down this path, we're going to start touching stadiums that we have no business touching. And it's happening with Buffalo. And, Buffalo's like, we're still outside. It's still going to snow. But then you see the way they design the stadium, and it's like 65% steel overhangs to block out the snow, blockades so the gusts from Erie don't come in. And then what are you doing? Like, this is what I know. It's rough, and I know, like, the snow shoveling, but you know what? How many games has Buffalo canceled for weather?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, don't we just find a way no matter what? Even if I remember a story, I think it was 1988, where the Broncos it was week 17, and they had a home game, and it snowed so much that the Broncos sent out a memo, and all of the local community got on their four-wheelers, and they picked up the players on their, like, snowmobiles and stuff.
Yeah.
And they brought them to the game, and then they, like, shoveled it together. Like, this is part of the community of football.
Yep.
And I don't think sometimes these are the type of things that are lost on people that don't love the game. The billionaires that didn't go outside when they were 5. What I'm trying to say is, like, I'm out there going, "Ready, Green 18," and I'm, like, seeing my breath. I didn't understand anything about the game. I'm 5 years old, but this is what football was to me. And it's like, well, what exactly is that? What is saying Green 18, watching your breath fog up in the cold weather? Well, that's the art piece of football that I loved and didn't know why. Like Rosalind Sanchez, who is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen at 5 years old when I watched Boat Trip. But I was like, I like her and I really want her, and I'm 5 years old. I don't know why, right? And I think, like, when these billionaires, they get together and they don't understand this part of the game. They don't. And they take it away. And then because people like us that do understand and love it and appreciate it never spoke up, they don't realize it. We don't realize what we had until it's gone. And then it's like, what's missing about it? I mean, we got this big screen. It's 75 degrees. The turf looks amazing. We got AI self-checkouts. These robots are bringing drinks to us. But, like, what is missing? And then you see an old clip of, like, Browns throwing dog treats on the field. You're in the dog pound and Bills are throwing snowballs at people. And I'm just worried that in 50 years, our kids and our kids' kids are going to go, what happened to, like, doing, like, what happened to that?
Yeah.
Why is everything SoFi?
Yep.
And I just thought I should share this with you because I wrote it and I felt really passionate about it. So
I like it. Yeah. That's kind of why I brought it up to Mile High. What's up? Crooked Commish. What's up? Because I think that's going to happen in 50 years. I think kids, NFL fans, younger NFL fans are going to wonder why Lambeau's the only one that's out in the elements. Why maybe even the one in Seattle is the only one open to the elements. You know, maybe the Cleveland Browns or whatever in 50 years are going to be the only ones open to the elements, because they're going to look back at snow games. They're going to look back at Denver bringing people in, the Buffalo Bills fans shoveling the stadium and the parking lots around it so football can be played. Now, there's the negatives where people die because of how cold it is, unfortunately, right? But
dress appropriately.
Dress appropriately too. Yeah, but I really do think in 50 years, a lot of us are going to be like, it's time for an outdoor stadium again.
Yeah.
People
also die at Ultra Music Festival in Bonnaroo, but you can't just cancel it.
Exactly. So it's what can we do that's going to make the game better? And in 50 years, it might be, let's build outdoor stadiums again.
Yeah, which is going to be just
insane.
The older I get, the more I realize that life is just one big circle.
It is a big old cycle, just like fashion. It's going to be recycled over and over again.
We've never been this divided. Here comes the savior. The savior wasn't good enough. Here's the extremists. We've never been this divided. It's all just, we're just living in a circle. And I think it's just important to realize where you are in the timeline so you don't lose your mind.
Yeah. We got to just look at that and be like, we're going to want open air stadiums again. But thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciated everybody that was here. It was awesome to see a lot of you guys. Obviously, Crooked, Commish, Mile High. We had Ginger. We had Lil E. We had Nash. We had Nick, who I haven't seen in a while. John Connor. We had a few new newbies here as well. Liam, Desiree. Thank you guys all for being here. We appreciate it. Each and every each and every subscribe. We appreciate it. If you haven't liked it, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so while Kyle vigorously rubs that meat stick.
I like to warm it up a little bit.
Go and follow us on X at Only Football Pod and at NFL with Kyle, where you could see more of that going on X. And again, make sure to subscribe here on the YouTube on Only Football. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, become a member for only $2.99 a month, and join some of our diehard supporters like KC, Crafty, to name a couple. Yeah. Mile High, Crooked, Ginger, Lil E, all these guys. And as always, we do this for our biggest supporter, Bill Hartnett was one of our biggest supporters before he passed. So this is who we do it for. We do it for guys like Bill. We do it for guys like Ginger, for guys like Crooked, like Lil E, like Mile High, Nash, Nick. This is who we do it for. And it's really fun. It's very fun talking NFL 365, 24/7. So again, we appreciate all you guys who have been here. And Kyle, always a good time, brother.
Always a good time. We'll be back soon, Mile High. Don't worry.